Good evening. My name is Becky Womble, and I'm the President and CEO of the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce. And it's my honor to welcome you here to this very first virtual forum for our Bastrop Votes initiative. Tonight's forum is part of the Chamber's initiative called BastropVotes.com. The purpose is really simple. It's to promote the vote in Bastrop. We do this in three ways. We actively register voters. We have a website that has fair and impartial information about candidates seeking office in Bastrop and Bastrop County. And then we conduct forums like this so that you can see and hear the candidates before Election Day on Tuesday, November 3rd. Since the inception, we have had 6 candidate forums in 2016, 3 in 2017, 2 in 2018, 2 in 2019, and then this is the first of 2 that we're having for the general election on November 3rd. It's a really exciting time to be a part of Bastrop, and even more so since the July announcement of Tesla, which is going to mean extreme growth coming to Bastrop and Bastrop County. And with a school district that covers 433 square miles, that's an enormous footprint. It's important that we have energetic leaders leading our school district. Before I get started, I want you to know that the slate of questions that were submitted tonight were assembled and vetted by a group of 4 individuals from our Government Affairs Committee. They were submitted to our moderator, and he has the sole discretion on which questions were being asked tonight. But basically, they fell under this criteria. Questions directed personally at one candidate will not be asked. Rude or inflammatory questions will not be asked. And questions of similar topic were combined to prevent a repetitive subject matter. I want to remind the candidates that are with us tonight to please speak clearly into your microphones because this is being recorded. And I want the viewers at home to be able to hear us. This forum will end promptly at 6:30 or until we finish with all the questions, whichever comes first. I don't see this happening here, but if we need to, as facilitators, we will mute mics. Also, this forum is being recorded so that we can post it on our Bastrop Chamber Facebook page, and within 24 hours, it will be posted on our BastropVotes.com website. So, our facilitators. I want to welcome and introduce Carrie Fossler. She is going to be our timekeeper tonight. She is a member of our Government Affairs Committee and also a member of the Board of Directors for the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce. And then our moderator tonight. We are very proud to have Charlie Stone with us. Mr. Stone is a veteran who served in the U.S. Army as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He graduated from Southwest Texas, now known as Texas State, and he has a degree in law enforcement. Mr. Stone worked as a DPS trooper. He has been in private business. He has served as the judge of Refugio County from 1991 to 1999. And in 2011, he retired after 14 years with a state service in the state, working in the state at the Capitol for a state representative, and finally as the executive director at a state agency. With Judge Stone's wide variety of experience, he is the perfect choice to moderate our candidate forum tonight. So Judge, I will turn over this forum to you. Just a minute, Judge, we're gonna have to unmute you. Okay, try it now.
I honestly didn't mute that. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, we did it on our end, so I apologize.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. We figured it out. So
welcome, and thank you for moderating tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you to the 2 candidates, and we welcome all the people who have joined us by Zoom. I'm actually joining this from Woodland Park, Colorado, and so I just want you to know I am from Bastrop, Texas, but we're up here right now having some fun in the high altitude. So I want to go over the protocols which have been provided to the candidates. And so I want to read this for the benefit of the audience. And so I'll start into it. First of all, you need to know that the candidates will be provided the same information, and they have received the same information. Questions have not and will not be made available to the candidates in advance of the forum. Each candidate will be allotted the following time limits. a 2-minute opening statement, a 1.5-minute response to each question, and then a 1-minute rebuttal if the candidate is asked the question first, and then a 2-minute closing statement. Now, there is an order of statements and questions, and for the audience's information, I want to let you know that the candidates prior to this have allowed me to use their first names. So we have two here today, Molly McClure and Gwendolyn Robin. And so I will say that I will be using their first name, and so I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them. They've allowed me to do that. So in order of the opening statements will be determined by the alphabetical order. So Molly McClure will go first on that. Then the first question that will be asked will be the candidate who was second to make her opening statement. So that will be Gwendolyn Robin, who will be asked the first question. And there are a total of 12 questions that I've selected from a list of 44. So only 12 questions. I understand there may be 2 extra ones that Becky will bring up that have been submitted by people who've joined into the forum. The timer will keep the candidates and the moderator apprised of the remaining time. If a candidate is in mid-sentence, when the stop sign is shown, he or she may complete the sentence in as few words as possible. If a candidate attempts to exceed his or her time allotment, I, the moderator, will inform the candidate that the allotted time has expired and direct the forum to continue to the next candidate. So that's very simply, this is a forum and not a debate. So candidates, if you are ready to proceed, we're ready for opening statements at this time. And Molly, you get to go first, and you have 2 minutes for your statement.
Thank you. Good evening. I first would like to thank Becky Womble, the Chamber of Commerce, the board of the Chamber, Charlie and Carrie and Gwendolyn for all being here this evening, and for having the opportunity to speak to the community through Bastrop Votes. It's a wonderful initiative that the Chamber has begun. My name is Molly McClure, and I have served on the school board for 6 years. I moved to Bastrop with my husband 10 years ago. We retired here, and prior to retirement, I was an educator for about 20 years, doing a variety of teaching in the classroom, working with teachers, and also professional development and being a consultant. We have 3 children and 2 grandchildren, and we moved to Bastrop to be in the country and to be close to our grandchildren that are in Houston and Austin. I have enjoyed being on the school board, and I hope to continue to do that for 3 more years. And I would just like to have an opportunity tonight to tell you why. Thank you.
All right, Molly, Gwendolyn, you're next.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you as well, Chamber, for hosting, and Ms. McClure, or Molly, if I may, for participating tonight. I did want to correct one thing. My last name is Robinson, not Robbins. So it's Gwendolyn Robinson. And I am the proud parent of 2 BISD graduates, one graduating in 2018 and one graduating in 2019. I moved to Bastrop about 5 years ago and became involved in the district because my children were involved academically and with extracurriculars. And so I became passionate about helping at the high school, and after they graduated, decided that I wanted to extend that service. This entire campaign is just about true advocacy. As a parent of 2 recent graduates, I was able to witness a few things that occurred, and I just want to be able to step in and assist with parents and students who may feel that certain views may have been overlooked. I think overall the district is doing a good job, but there's always room for improvement. So I want to discuss those things tonight, and I appreciate you all for having me.
Ms. Robinson, I want to apologize. The Excel spreadsheet that I supplied the moderator, your name kind of got cut off on the boxes, so that is not Charlie's fault, that is my fault. So I want to apologize for that. So I take full responsibility for it. The name is in there correctly, it's just with the length of your name, it kind of got cut off in the boxes, so I apologize for that.
I understand that has been a lifelong issue. Long first name, long last name.
Well, thank you for your understanding.
Well, thank you, Becky, for clarifying that. I'm going to apologize to Gwendolyn also because it was cut off, and I apologize. It is Robinson, and I think everybody on there is clear now. We didn't do that on purpose. That was a mistake, and it's corrected. So I hope you accept our apology.
Absolutely.
All right, is everyone ready for questions?
Yes.
All right, Gwendolyn, you are up first, and you have a minute and a half on this first one. And as I told y'all beforehand, if you want me to repeat the question, whether you're first or the second answered, please ask me, and I'll certainly do that. I'll speak as clear and distinct as I can to make sure you fully understand what's being asked. Question number one to Gwendolyn. What are your views on vocational education and the importance of offering it to students who do not have a plan to attend college after high school?
My views on vocational education is basically college isn't for everyone. However, we all need to make sure that the students that come out of Bastrop Independent School District are equipped to enter the work environment, the workforce, because we are only as strong as the weakest member of our community. So if someone is not able to get a job because they decided that they didn't want to attend college after high school, that shouldn't prohibit them. Therefore, I believe strongly in vocational education, and all areas of employment are needed. If you think about HVAC technicians, we live in Texas. It's extremely hot here. And you may not need a college degree to be an HVAC technician, but that is something that is offered vocationally. So I am a strong advocate and believer in vocational education.
Okay. All right, Molly, would you have 1.5 minutes to answer that question?
I totally agree with Gwendolyn. I see our students, when they are interested in what they're doing and motivated, they are more successful. So we want all of our students to graduate from high school with something in their pocket that can take them on in their lives. Very fortunately, we have offer many career and technology education opportunities in the school district. And with those, students can even leave the ISD with certifications to go right into a career. I love the idea of having mentorships and really getting our city of Bastrop and surrounding areas involved in providing those opportunities for internships. And some of this is starting to happen with the Bastrop Chamber and Workforce and the Economic Development, which is very exciting for our kids to have mentorships within our community and to know what kinds of jobs are out there, what kind of careers.
All right, thank you. Gwendolyn, you have a minute if you have a rebuttal or anything else you want to say about question number one.
I do not have a rebuttal.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, we're going to move to question two. This goes to Molly. How do you feel about the current record of academic achievement in our district, and what areas are in most need of improvement? Molly?
At this time, BISD has, the TEAs gave us a B standing in 2019. There was not a new one in 20 because of our COVID. And also an A in college and career readiness. So our standings are good. There's a lot of room for improvement, as Gwendolyn said. We always have that in education. And I'm going to ask you, Charlie, could you repeat? You said, what do you think about the achievement and
Yes.
second part of the question?
Yeah, I'll just read it again. How do you feel about the current record of academic achievement in our district, and what areas are in most need of improvement?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I see is we've always felt that our elementary schools were doing just fine, but we're learning that achievement gap begins early. So having pre-K 4 full day is a big advantage to getting kids ready for school. And then watching those kids, we have a new initiative that is really focusing on primary reading and very intentional instructions so that our kids do grow the amount that they need to grow each year.
Okay, thank you. All right, Gwendolyn, your turn.
I agree. I also saw the TEA report card that said that Bastrop received an overall B rating, which is great, but it is also a fall from the previous rating of an A-. And we want to make sure that we are constantly excelling. An issue that I think is currently occurring is, and it's not a new issue, but it is occurring more frequently now and probably at a greater rate because of the remote learning, are disparities with that. There are certain people, income levels that just don't have access, or they may not be literate technology-wise. And so we need to make sure that we have alternative learning options for those families. Everyone can't stay at home with their children and assist them. And so we need to make sure we have additional opportunities for those children so that they aren't left behind.
All right, well, Molly, now you have a minute left if you want to have a rebuttal or anything else you want to add to it.
Well, I just want to add, because Gwendolyn brought something up that was very important, is that with our students being at home and virtual learning, it's interesting how that turns into opportunities to really understand how we can try to fill in those gaps that the internet connectivity that everyone should have. So that is something that our Bastrop County Cares in our community is surveying everyone to figure out what we can do so that we can bring connectivity to everyone. I'm proud of our school district because we did take care of temporarily bringing hotspots and bringing devices to those students.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving to question number 3, and Gwendolyn, this is you first here. We hear from business leaders that one of the keys to improving our community and attracting new businesses is a quality public school system with up-to-date facilities. Would you support the passage of a school bond to address facility needs and address overcrowding?
I'm glad that that is one of the questions tonight. So would I support it? There would be contingencies. And I say that because, yes, we do definitely in Bastrop need additional facilities because according to, I believe it was an article in the Statesman maybe a year ago, that the district is growing at a rapid pace. It's like 30+% growth percentile. And that's an alarming number. However, not all community members, constituents of this county are for additional bonds because they are afraid of the longevity of the debt. And so we need to have intentional and transparent conversations and educate the entire community about why the money is needed, be transparent about the amount of money that is needed, and ensure that they have a complete and accurate understanding of where the funds will be applied.
All right, thank you. Molly, it's your turn.
Yes, growth is coming, and we have needed to pass a bond for a while anyway, for several reasons. For our growth, for our resources, to reconfigure our grades to be more appropriate with what is best for children. We have received a superior rating in a first rating for our finances for the last 16 years. We're in really good shape as far as our way we manage our finances. Last year we brought together citizens, and this is the transparency that Gwendolyn's talking about. The citizens and administrators, some teachers, together as a task force to learn about school finance in all of our schools and curriculum, and then for them to come up with the proposal, if they believed that we needed a proposal for a bond. Unfortunately, the board agreed with that, voted on it, supported that, but the bond was postponed in May because of the election being postponed. We decided not to go ahead with it in November, just out of respect for the situation, the uncertainty that everyone was going through at this time. So we hope to see that soon.
All right, thank you, Molly. Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you have anything else you want to say.
The only thing I wanted to add was, while that information and the task force was included the community, it did not provide entire transparency throughout the district. So I wasn't even aware until I attended a board meeting that there was going to be a bond proposal. And I think that there are additional community members outside of myself that were not aware. And then when the proposition ended up being initially postponed and then eventually canceled, because it's not going to be on the November election ballot, I had to do my own research to find out that information as well. So I just think providing that information to the community would be very helpful.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move to question number 4. And Molly, this is your question first. How do you feel about Bastrop ISD's current financial situation, and what, if any, financial challenges does the district face in the near future?
One of the, as I had mentioned, that our financial situation, as far as our rating on paying back money that is we have borrowed, is excellent. Our budget is a conservative budget, and we are very diligent in making sure that we stick with our budget. The future, our biggest issue would be if the legislators in the 87th legislative session would take away some of the funding from House Bill 3, because House Bill 3 has been a tremendous lift for our, not only for the district, but for our students that are low-income students, second language students, for our social emotional learning, many ways, and for our taxpayers, because there was a tax compression where we went from $1.04 per $100 home to or amount value to a 97 cents. So there was a tax compression. So if we could not continue with the funding that we had from House Bill 3, that would be a difficult thing.
All right, Gwendolyn, your turn.
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. How do you feel about Bastrop ISD's current financial situation? And what, if any, financial challenges does the district face in the near future?
So obviously there are financial challenges regarding growth. We know that because of the proposed bonds. However, I'm not privy to the budget, so I'm not certain how the money is being allocated, but I believe someone who is also running for election said, show me your budget and I'll show you your priorities. So we need to make sure that we have, again, transparency, that we're having conversations about the needs of the district. And that happens, I believe, by community involvement. I think that we need to be certain that we're not just talking, but we're actually doing, that we're, we are feet to ground, and that we are making sure that we are participating in meetings where they are making decisions regarding the budget. But I believe that there is a concern regarding financing, because there is growth, and then there's going to be a need for additional infrastructure.
All right, Molly, you have a minute. If you've thought of anything else you want to add.
I just would like to speak to the transparency. All of our board meetings are recorded and published on the website, and we're required by the state to publish all the information from the board meetings. So we have a way of, there is a way to find out information. Also, our district, they're very open to answering questions. So I think we try to be transparent. Before our Citizens Advisory Task Force met, we put out surveys to as many of the parents of students to all the parents of students, to teachers, to administrators, to try to get as much information as possible. So that is a goal, to be transparent with the community and be part of the community.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move to question number 5, and this will go to Gwendolyn. There are a number of measures proposed in the legislature regarding school choice and charter schools. Please discuss your understanding of these measures, your stances, and the impact on our district that you would anticipate if passed.
So I understand that previously that there was the DOI, which is the District of Innovation concept. And I suspect that in next year's legislative session, the 87th, that there will be more extensive talk regarding such, and an opportunity to allow funding for charter schools and private schools. My entire issue is that I don't believe that private schools or charter schools that get to pick their students, they get to go through an application process, should receive the same public funding as public schools, because public schools, you're basically assigned to a school according to your address. And so I don't believe that that money is taken from public schools and given to charter schools. I think that you have to say, if you're going to have additional criteria to attend this school, then you don't get to receive that funding. That's just one way you are opting out of receiving governmental funding.
All right, Molly, you have a minute.
Yes, and I agree with Gwendolyn. It's very difficult because I understand parent choice and parents wanting to choose a school for their children. And there is not that as much flexibility, as Gwendolyn pointed out, in public schools. So one of the ways that we can change that is by, within public schools, giving more choice. And that's the way our administration is looking at things right now. And trying to, and we're adding, we have early college high school, we have comprehensive high schools with dual credit from ACC. We have then special high schools where you can work at your own pace to get your degree. And then we're thinking about virtual learning school, a kindergarten through 12 virtual learning, because that seems to work well for some people. I have a problem with charter schools taking money from public schools, and they do in the per pupil allotment. And that, because when we lose those students, we still have the teachers, and we still, it changes all the dynamics. So we work really hard to be the best. I mean, really, and have an excellent education from BISD. It takes a lot of work.
Thank you. Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you have anything else you want to add to that question.
I do not. I agree with everything that was stated.
Okay. All right, we're going to move to question number 6, and this will go to Molly first. Assume you have been elected and a parent who is a personal friend calls you one night to express serious concerns regarding how his or her child has been treated during a school event. How do you respond?
First, I tell them I thank them for calling, because I do represent all of the community. But I will ask if they have first spoken to the teacher, and if they don't feel comfortable with that, with the next person in that chain of command, the principal. Because as a school board member, if I know too much about a situation and it comes back to the school board to make a decision, then I have to rescind myself. I cannot participate. So I want that to be a fair for the parent and for the student. And so I would just direct them to the person in the school district that would answer that question or help them with that.
All right. All right, Gwendolyn.
So ironically, the situation actually occurred, and I'm not even a board member yet. So what happened was there was a council member from a neighboring community who expressed that his relative had an issue with learning in BISD, and that he knew I was running for place 4, and he wanted to reach out to me. And my first question, and this would be my response to anyone, especially a friend that would contact me regarding a similar situation, was to apologize. And then to say, there's only so much information you should be telling me, and then to redirect him. And that's exactly what I did. I encouraged him to first get in contact with the school, have a conversation with admin. And then if admin did not meet the requirements or whatever need that they felt still existed, to then contact the school board. And I let him know when the school board met, and that he could also contact them by email. So that has happened, and that's exactly how I would handle it.
All right. Molly, anything else you would like to add? You have a minute.
No, I think, but I just will say that I think it is that for the family and for the school district, it is a fair situation for it to go up. If people are unhappy and still not satisfied, it does continue up to the superintendent, and then the very end, the school board.
All right. Okay, we're going to move to question number 7. So Gwendolyn, this will be your question to start off. What specific strategies would you use to improve community and school district relations?
Goodness. So specific strategies, I think there are several. And I don't know that there is one cure-all, especially not for a diverse district like Bastrop. I think that we have to do what best meets each school. So that starts even on like PTA levels. It goes outside of that. Even if you're talking about just the individual classroom, there are certain formats, including emails, including pamphlets, including community, and we can't do this now because of COVID-19, but different community events just to get people involved so that they understand what's going on in their community. When we're having athletic events, that's an opportunity. Halftime is an opportunity to let the community know what's going on. But for those that don't attend, we have to honestly, think outside the box to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on in their community. Because when things go home, it doesn't always mean that they're read. When there are emails sent out, it doesn't mean that everyone has that capability technology-wise. So we have to use every avenue that is available to us to reach some, if not all.
All right, thank you. Molly, it's your turn.
Would you repeat the question, please,
I
John?
sure will. What specific strategies would you use to improve community and school district relations?
Okay. This is one of our goals of our school district, is to improve and continue to get to know our community better and for them to know us better. I've been working this year with an organization called Bastrop County Cares, and the purpose of the organization is to try to get all of the interagencies and all the entities of the community together. And one thing that we've learned is that, the school districts don't sit as a silo. As so many years, we took care of all the business of our school, but now we have multiple reasons to reach out and collaborate and be in partnership with other entities in the community. And so I think that the communication, we work on communication and all the different ways to communicate, but I think we have to be part of the chamber and part of the health clinic and part of what the library is doing. And that's through Bastrop County Cares. That's what's happening. We're communicating with the different entities. And so we're all giving the same information to all of the people that we serve.
All right. And Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you wish to use it to respond.
So I agree that partnership is necessary. However, I think we have to start at the basic level. And that means, as I said before, we have to make sure that we are out and we are educating and that we are involved and that people are showing up from the school board, and from different campuses at various events to educate people, and that we are providing literacy, because people just aren't aware. And if that's a language barrier or whether it is just a disconnect because, and I'm sorry to keep using this word, but it's the word that fits, if there's not transparency, because everyone doesn't have access to technology. Everyone doesn't read the English language, and some people just aren't literate, period, in one language or another. So we want to make sure that we're reaching all, as many as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. Question number 8. This will go to Molly first here. What should be the board's role in handling a crisis like what we've had with COVID-19?
That is an interesting question. Everyone had to put their best foot forward very quickly. And the most important thing a school board does, the most significant thing, is to recruit and hire a superintendent. And I feel that this board has hired someone who is a very caring person, very astute to what is happening in the community, and has surrounded himself with a cabinet that has those same qualifications. So when it's boots on the ground, that is the administration that takes care of that. The board is informed. We receive a letter every weekend of everything that has happened that week. We always have an opportunity to call and ask questions or show concerns to our superintendent or the cabinet. But it's really boots on the ground, and the administration, that is their responsibility, and we entrust them with that responsibility.
All right. Gwendolyn, your turn.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Yes, I sure will. What should be the board's role in handling a crisis like what we've had with COVID-19?
So the school board, as we know, that they set the tone and the course of the district. And they do, as Molly stated, they hire and evaluate the superintendent. And I think the only thing I would have done differently, because I'm as a former parent of BISD graduates, I am honestly concerned about not just students returning to school, but also teachers. And because we don't know enough, in my opinion, about this infectious disease. And we don't want there to be collateral damage, because we aren't educated well enough. And there was even an article that I read in the Statesman, and they quoted a doctor from Mary Hardin Baylor, and she basically said that Texas school systems are flying blind by allowing students to return to school without having adequate resources to make sure that there aren't fevers and things like that. So the only thing I think we should do differently is to maybe take a step back and offer additional learning facilities to keep social distancing. We can follow CDC guidelines without having the backlash of what may be to come.
Okay, thank you very much. Molly, you have a minute if you want to add anything else.
Yes, I would like to. One of the reasons I was very impressed with our superintendent was he met with the health authorities from our county and from Travis County weekly, and he followed their guidelines very carefully. We have had very few cases of COVID in, I think now this past week it was maybe 2 students and one, I don't exactly recall, and maybe one at home, or maybe it's just the opposite. But I think by following those guidelines of the health authority, that reassured me that it was okay for us to start back to school, because I know how many children and how many families were struggling with their children at home. So,
okay, thank you for stopping so quickly. I'm going to turn this back over to Becky. I believe she has some information she wants to share with our audience tonight. So Becky, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, our candidates have been on the hot seat here for about 45 minutes. So we're gonna give them just a little bit of a break and an opportunity to maybe grab a glass of water or something real quick. But I just want to remind our audience at home that's watching some important dates and some information for this election. First of all, the election starts for early voting on Tuesday, October 13th, and runs through Friday, October 30th. During the first 2 weeks, basically the time is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., except for those Sundays when it is 1 to 5 p.m. The third week, the time expands from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's actually 4 different voting sites for early voting. So I would highly encourage you to take advantage of the early voting so that you don't have to run into any lines on election day. But those 4 sites are scattered across the county. They are the Bastrop County Courthouse, the Smithville City Hall, Cedar Creek United Methodist Church out on FM 535 in Cedar Creek, and then the Elgin Public Library that also serves as a small civic center in the city of Elgin. Election day is November 3rd with polling locations across the county. So again, I would encourage you to go early and vote so that you don't have to find a polling site that you may not be familiar with. And you can find out that information on bastropvotes.com under the voter information tab. So look up that information. But to save yourself some time at the polls, I would encourage you to print off a sample ballot in advance. I know personally that every time I print off that ballot, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know we were voting on that. And so I think it'd be helpful to be an educated voter by looking at that sample ballot in advance. And then also, I just want to remind you that you can't look at like an electronic device like your cell phone or a tablet, but you are allowed to take in a paper ballot that might be marked with who you want to vote for on that ballot when you go to the ballot box. So I encourage you to go ahead and print that ballot early. And then lastly, House Bill 25 eliminates the straight party ticket. This is a personal opinion, but I am glad that they eliminated that because my husband is a former school board member, and literally in November where he was running for office, school board members got 20% less on votes because of straight ticket voting. So if you do want to vote for one party, you will have to go in and vote for each one of those individual candidates one by one on your ballot. So, and then also just want to mention something else. We do have a broadband survey going on right now that's been brought up a couple times, in internet service. That is going through October 15th. We are short on businesses responding to that broadband survey. So if you need information or a link, please contact us at info@bastropchamber.com and we will get you that link to respond to that survey. So if everyone's had a drink of water, we will turn it back over to Charlie and our candidates and finish up with the last 4 questions.
I have to unmute myself. They muted all of us during that time. So, all right, everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. This will be question number 9, and it goes to Gwendolyn. What is the single best idea you have to improve Bastrop ISD?
Single best idea
Yes.
to improve Bastrop ISD. So I know that Bastrop ISD has a pretty good teacher retention. And so I think that improvement in the school district, because we all want our kids and the future to be successful, is to ensure that we have great teacher, parent, student relationships. I believe that this can happen by truly understanding and building a rapport with families outside of the classroom. And I understand that teachers already give a lot and that this will require more, but that is the only way to truly ensure that we understand what's going on at home, because whatever is going on at home also affects learning. And it affects behavior. So there are a lot of aspects, and I want to be able to advocate for that. I want to be able to assist and to be able to explain and to understand. I've talked before about various programs that provide those learning tools and techniques that are needed, and I think we could all benefit from them.
All right, Molly, your turn. You have a minute and a half.
Gwendolyn's, I'm totally in agreement with that. So I'll take a different one. I mean, that would be at the top of my list too. I am, as I mentioned earlier, I'm working with Bastrop County Cares in Early Childhood Coalition. And as I see our children coming into school, there is a real gap between what some children come to school knowing and others. And I think that carries on with them all the way through. So I am a proponent of preschool for all 4-year-olds and a qualified preschool. We have a lot of students that are going to daycare, but what they're learning or what they're doing in daycare is not necessarily in alignment with the early childhood skills, and not skills, but just development that children need before they come into kindergarten. So I think the one thing that would make such a difference would be if universally all children had a quality education as 4-year-olds.
All right, thank you. And Gwendolyn, do you have a minute if you have anything else you want to add to that question?
I do not have anything else.
All right. All right, we're going to move to question number 10, and this will be from Molly. What do you see as the opportunities and challenges in this district, and can we turn the challenges into opportunities?
That's what we do. We do turn challenges into opportunities. I've heard our superintendent say that so many times. The challenges are, as I said, we have a very large district. Not all children have the same experiences and have the same the connectivity to the internet, the opportunity to have a sports team to play on in different parts of the county, libraries in different parts of the county. You know, all of these things are challenges. So what can we do about that? I think there's a lot we can do about it, and I really believe reaching out to our community in those partnerships is one of our biggest opportunities at this point. We're working hard on academics in our classrooms, on retaining our teachers, offering professional development that makes people want to stay. And we have a lot of good things going on in our classrooms, in our buildings, in our schools. But I think that there's some things in our lives that everyone should have some opportunities that they don't have. So to equalize those opportunities is very important to me.
Okay. All right, Gwendolyn, your turn on that question.
So I believe that there are achievement gaps, especially across various income levels. And that's not just a district issue, it's a global issue. And I think we take that challenge and make it an opportunity by thinking outside the box. My spouse, he works with neighboring school districts in a program, and I'm not going to name drop tonight, but he works for a program that has partnered with churches and with community learning pods, and they have offered alternative locations for those kids who don't have internet access, or they don't have the sufficient technology to be able to learn remotely. And I think that is imperative and important to make sure that we utilize different opportunities like such, so that we can make sure that we are taking every single challenge and turning it into an opportunity, because we don't want to fail our children. That's the last thing we want to do.
All right, thank you. All right, Molly, you have another minute if you have anything to add.
No, I think that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're going to move to question number 11. And this will go to Gwendolyn. In your opinion, what are the 3 most important issues facing the Board of Trustees over the next 4 years?
So I believe now, since we are in a pandemic, that is a huge issue. We are talking about the ripple effect. You know, there's going to be financial issues that evolve from the pandemic. There's going to be mental and social issues that are going to evolve. So that's going to be a challenge for the board. We know that we also have issues with growth and infrastructure and funding, and then also legislative priorities such as teacher retention. How do we keep them on if they lose funding next year, you know, as a result of the 87th legislative session? So those are, in my opinion, the top three concerns. And again, we take those challenges and we make them opportunities. We strategize with consultants that have experienced these things in other maybe larger school districts, and then we take that advice, what has proven successful, and then we implement it. And of course, there's not going to be a cookie cutter remedy because Bastrop is unique. However, we take the things, again, that have proven successful and we customize them for our district.
Thank you very much. Molly?
I believe that maintaining House Bill 3 is one of our biggest challenges, because that is so important to us and to our children and the community. And as a board member, I have that opportunity to be an advocate for our school board and to lobby, to contact my legislators, and to go to the State House and actually talk about it with the legislators. The next thing is our broadband. That's, again, to be an advocate for making something happen on the state level and really getting involved in that. Our teacher retention is also always a difficult thing, as it is for all of our schools, of the schools in Central Texas. But the bond, passing a bond is a very important. I mean, that is going to be one of our biggest advocacy positions that we must take with our community.
All right, thank you. Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you wish to have anything else to say about that.
The only rebuttal I would add is we have to make sure that the passing of the bond, or if it doesn't pass, that it doesn't prohibit us, because even if we do not have adequate funding, it doesn't mean that we don't get to serve our students, right? So we still need to think outside the box and make sure that we have alternative plans. I do agree that as a board member, there is a certain level of advocacy that you're able to provide, but also just as a community member, you know, communities get together when the legislative session is in, and I know because I work in downtown Austin, and they lobby, you know, for the things that are important to them. So we have to do that, you know, regardless of position. We have to make sure that we are lobbying and we're advocating for the things that we value.
All right, thank you. Question number 12. Molly, this is for you first. What is your motivation for running for the school board?
My motivation, I think, is fairly simple. I have been an educator for over 20 years, and I really have a passion for excellence in education. And I think that whether we're a public school in Bastrop, Texas, or a private school in Austin, Texas, that we can provide the same quality of education to our children here in Bastrop as anywhere else. And I really, truly believe that. And since I've been on the board, that has been my mantra. That is what I fight for constantly. I question anything that I find might be not moving us in that direction. And that's the most important thing to me, is for our children to be well educated, and feel that they have gotten the best education in their community of Bastrop.
All right, thank you. Gwendolyn, your turn.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What is your motivation for running for the school board?
So my motivation for running for the school board is, and this is also the campaign theme, diversity and inclusion. And the reason I chose that theme is because I believe that in order for there to be true advocacy, that representation is needed throughout all levels. So locally, statewide, nationwide, and that decision-making is not just for elite members of the community, but it's for everyone. So that means that regardless of social or economic status, that you have a voice, that your voice deserves to be heard, and not just heard, but also considered, that when we're making decisions, that we also remember the issues that you have and the challenges that you face, and that those are incorporated into the reasons why we make decisions. Yes, we all want the best for our children and to ensure their excellence and make sure that they can be accepted and prepared for those top schools, secondary education, but we also want to make sure that the voice of all community members is heard and it's valued. And that's my reason for running for school.
Thank you. Now, Molly, you have a minute if you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think that's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, before I move to closing statements, let me throw a question to Becky. I understand you had 2 more questions that you possibly wanted to ask. Do you want to do that before the closing statements? Or
Yes, I do, please.
Okay.
And since these were emailed to me and everything, and couldn't get them to you this afternoon, I'll go ahead and ask them for you, Charlie. And
Okay.
then we'll move back to the closing statements.
Okay.
Okay, so this is kind of long to start with, so bear with me, and I will read it twice, but we will start, let's see, with Gwendolyn. It says, it is an understatement to say that our Bastrop ISD presently faces an extraordinary set of challenges. Like many other districts in Texas, population growth, technology advancements and demands, and the ever-present scarcity of resources present an enormous challenge for administrators and school board members alike. This kind of environment places a premium on experience at all levels of the enterprise, beginning with those that serve as policymakers of the district. Assuming that each candidate is otherwise eligible and approaches this task with a commitment to serve the best interests of the community, the candidate should address the following question. Please describe your qualification and a specific experience that makes you the better candidate for this job.
So that would go to Gwendolyn. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think, and I've been presented with a similar question in various articles that have asked me questions about the candidacy, and I don't think I'm better in any way. I actually appreciate Ms. McClure and her time and her service and her dedication to education. So it's not about being better. I can tell you what I bring to the table. I bring over 18 years of legal experience. Yes, I have a degree in applied science. Yes, I'm a parent of 2 BISD graduates, recent BISD graduates, and I have assisted with various things, including drafting memoranda that was probably presented to the school board. I've had interaction with parents, and I believe that my moral beliefs and that my work ethic will prove successful, and that they will allow me to make the best choices for our district. But I don't think that saying I'm better than her in any way serves a purpose. It's just I'm different. There is a clear difference, and so I am able to relate maybe on a different level because there are things that I have experienced just because of who I am nature-wise.
All right, Molly. Mm-hmm.
I respect what Gwendolyn has just said, because a school board is a team of 8. And that's 7 elected members and the superintendent. And everyone brings their expertise to the table. That's what makes a good school board, because and that's what we recognize now as a school board, and we would always recognize. And I think anyone that that offers to serve has in their heart the students and the communities of our school district. My experience in education has been what is, I guess, has helped me the most on the board, because I can look at different information and decipher it a little bit differently than other members. I have been a volunteer in Bastrop since we have moved here, serving on the Bastrop Education Foundation and working in different capacities in the Nibbles program and feeding our children backpacks for their weekend, food for the weekend, lots of different volunteer, and then Bastrop County Cares.
Okay, and keeping the same format, Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you have anything else to add for that question.
I have nothing else to add.
All right, then we'll move to the next one. Molly, you'll be first on this one.
The next question that was submitted is, what involvement and or participation have you had with local schools within the last 5 years?
What involvement with local schools? Well,
Did you need me to repeat it? I'm sorry.
yes, please.
Okay. What involvement and or participation have you had with our local schools within the last 5 years?
Okay. The main thing that I do is serve on the school board, and that is an involvement in itself, because I spend time reading and learning about what is happening in the schools. I try to visit schools whenever I'm invited to come to a school, to their events. I have mentored students for the last 5 years, and I think I have gained the most from that, because I get a different perspective of the children and their families, and the school and how they're learning, and it gives me an idea of what we need to do to be sure to reach all children. So that I'm in the Chamber of Commerce. We believe in BISD, and we visit our schools each month, and we are all of our schools in 1 year, and we thank the teachers for the work that they're doing. So that involvement gives me a different perspective on just being in the schools at the end of the day and having an opportunity to thank the teachers. With the Education Foundation, but that wasn't the last 5 years. I haven't been in it in the last 5 years. So that's pretty much what I've done in the schools.
All right, Gwendolyn.
So as I stated before, I had a child graduate in 2018 and one graduate in 2019. So in the last 5 years, since I've moved to Bastrop, I've been involved. My kids participated in extracurriculars. And so I was at every single event and volunteered at the events, was on the field at every football game, and made sure that the athletic department had what they needed. Outside of that, I have worked with the principal at Cedar Creek High School directly, admins at Cedar Creek High School directly, and that was just specifically because my kids were attending there. Drafted memoranda, as I've stated before, when there were issues regarding students' rights and things like that. So I've been involved also in the Black History Month production that took place at Cedar Creek High School. I've been involved, but I hope to be involved even more so in the future. That's my hope.
All right, and Molly, you have another minute if you have anything else you want to add.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Charlie, we do have one question that was submitted on the chat. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. This will give us an odd rotation on the questionnaire. I mean, so are you as candidates and participants, are you guys okay with us just being off schedule a little bit on the rotation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, so the question is from the chat. It says, what are your views on allowing homeschool students access to BISD services such as the health clinic, the gym, etc.? So I think Gwendolyn would be first.
That would be first, Gwendolyn. Mm-hmm.
So if you're homeschooled, but you're still a student in the district, in my opinion, it does not mean that you don't have access to different resources, because your tax dollars are still providing funding for those various structures. So I don't have an issue with it, but I think that we need to ensure that there is an open dialogue and rapport prior to allowing just general access. So there has to be certain guidelines, there has to be certain agreements that are made by parents, by students, by whatever staff is going to oversee the various facilities, just to ensure that if anything was to happen, that all of the bases of the district are covered.
All right, Molly?
I think that our district would like to, or would be happy to have a conversation with our homeschool students. Our health clinic, I am not sure that is not open to all students in the community, but I'm uncertain of that. It's a partnership with Central Health. And so as far as the facilities, using the facilities, the one thing that comes to mind is something that Gwendolyn mentioned, is that our security on our campuses has to be maintained. And so we do have certain hours that usually our facilities are not used by the general community, but I think that would be something that would be a partnership, as we've been talking about. With different people in the community, something like that could be worked out. So that's my opinion of it, is that that's a personal opinion, that I believe that we could have a conversation and develop a partnership.
All right, and Gwendolyn, you have another minute if you have anything else you'd like to add.
I have nothing else.
All right, well, that takes us to our closing statements. These are 2 minutes each. And as Becky said, this is because we have an odd question in here. Originally, Gwendolyn, you were scheduled to go first, and you're still okay with that on your closing statement? Okay, well, we'll have a 2-minute statement by you and then 2 minutes by Molly. No rebuttals or anything. These are closing statements, okay? Gwendolyn, anytime you're ready.
Okay. So first and foremost, I just want to thank each of you again. Thank the chamber. Thank you, Mr. Stone, as the moderator, and then thank the incumbent, Ms. McClure, for participating tonight and for her service. My campaign, again, it is about true advocacy. It is about the care that we all have for the next generation, to ensure that they are equipped when they leave high school to either move into the workforce or to attend college. And again, my desire to run is to make sure that they are empowered, to make sure that they see someone that maybe looks like them, that can relate to them, that came from a single parent household, that dealt with various issues of her own, and now can provide a true rapport with them. And so the theme is not about excluding anyone, but just about relatability. Voters should vote for me because, again, I bring conscientious fairness, and I bring a level of understanding to different needs that may be disproportionately affecting us, our community. So that is why I believe that people should vote for me, and why I'm running for school board.
All right, thank you, Gwendolyn. Molly?
Thank you, Gwendolyn, and everyone that has participated. Gwendolyn, I've enjoyed listening to you and your ideas. And again, I think it is, it's a difficult, really, it is a commitment and a sacrifice in time of your life to be on the school board. And I really respect you for wanting to do that. And I am running because I love what I do. I love being on the school board. I love being able to interface with teachers, with children, and be able to see what happens when you construct a caring and district of high standards. I have worked this year very hard to have a better understanding of our community, to get to know our community. And I think that has really helped me. I have the experience in education, but I moved to this community without really knowing about all the 433 square miles and the people that lived in it. And I feel like I have a better sense of that now. And I want to give to that community, and I want to bring whatever understanding, expertise, and just care to the families that live here.
All right, thank you. Well, I want to say, as a former elected official, I know what it means to step out and step up, and both of you are doing that, and I congratulate both of you. You've done excellent tonight, and Bastrop will be better served by having people like you stepping up and offering your services and your expertise and your abilities. So I just wish more people would pay attention to the school board elections. It's vitally important for our future. So thank you for letting me be your moderator. I'll turn it back over to Becky now.
I need to thank a few people. And first of all, Chris White, he's literally my man on the right side of me. He's our communications and media manager, and he's the wizard behind pulling all the strings and making this virtual forum, our first, seem seamless. So I have to thank him first. And then also to our business manager, Pam Ferguson, who's helped us so much get ready for tonight's event. And then also to our Government Affairs Committee and all the people who serve on that committee. They are tireless volunteers that help us on that committee, and to our board of directors led by Lori Tuggle this year. And then, of course, we have to thank Carrie Fossler for being our timekeeper and keeping us on track tonight. She did an amazing job, and we appreciate her so much and her love of Bastrop. And then lastly, all the way up there in Colorado, thank you, Judge Stone, for conducting a professional forum and helping us present this service to our community. And finally, I want to thank these two candidates who trusted us to put on a fair, unbiased forum tonight. It's not fun being on that hot seat and not knowing what questions were coming at you, but you both did an amazing job. So thank you very much for being a part of this forum tonight. And then how about everybody just give them a virtual kind of round of applause? Because like I said, they did a great job tonight, and we really appreciate them being a part. So see a couple of you on the screen. So I know there's people at home clapping for you and cheering you on as well. And then I just want to say that in December of 2015, the Bastrop Votes Initiative was just a great idea that we had. And today we feel like it's a very successful initiative that makes a difference in Bastrop and Bastrop County, and especially when it comes to our elected bodies. I hope you will evaluate your options on the ballot and investigate the candidates and choose wisely. Our country truly is at a crossroads. I want you to remember that early voting starts on Tuesday, October 13th and runs through Friday, October 30th, with Election Day on November 3rd. Please visit bastropvotes.com for more information about the upcoming election before you go to the polls. So thank you for logging on, and have a great evening. Good night.